I can already hear you typing those angry comments down below. This is clickbait. This is fake. Well, this is a thrift shop find. Of course, it's going to be cheaper than what you normally get off of eBay or Amazon. This is a special case where I got a really good deal, and the title is actually correct. So it's not some clickbait, bait and switch thing, fake. Without further ado, here's what I found. This is a Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1, 16GB edition. It is the model number N8013, the 2012 edition. It came with a magnetic case and was running Android 4.0.0 Jelly Bean. The story behind this tablet was I went to one of my local thrift shops, as I very much frequently do, and there's some smudge on it. And I asked the person that normally takes care of the technology stuff, laptops, computers, desktops, hey, are there any new laptops for me to work on? Because I usually buy up the cheap laptops just as projects to work on them, like this guy over here. I've shown him in I've shown this in a few videos before, so like laptops like that. Cheap ones, old ones, new ones, whatever. So, they said, yeah, there's a few that we got in. Go check the front. Because I went in and directly went to the back where the sorting room was. They said, hey, check the front. We have some new laptops for you to look at. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's that's cool. So go to the front, and they go, oh, we just sold them. There were two of them. They said, oh man, we just sold them. We're sorry. If we knew you were gonna come in today, we would have held them for you. So I was like, oh, well, okay, cool. So I go back to the back, talk to the person, said, hey, just as an aside, I didn't get, they already sold them, so that's fine and all. I was just kind of looking forward to that. So she said, okay, let me check the back. I think we have something. So she goes to the back to talk to her manager, and so she goes to the back to talk to her manager. And I'm knocking the camera over. So she goes to the back to talk to her manager, quote unquote. She comes out with this. She's like, hey, we don't have any laptops ready right now because they have to take the hard drives out. We don't have any laptops ready right now. You can come back in a couple weeks. We're really short on people, but I did find this here. It doesn't work. We couldn't test it. Do you want it? Of course, I'm like, of course I want it. I immediately see what it is. It's a Samsung. Without even knowing what it is, I'm like, oh, Samsung. And then I know, so hey, it's a Note. It's a tablet. Obviously, I want it. So I go, yes, please. I'm very interested. I'd like to buy that. And she goes, well, okay. Well, how much do you want to pay for it? And I'm thinking, okay, well, I want to say $5, but I said, how about $10? $10 sounds about right. She's like, I'm going to go and talk to the manager and see if that's okay. She comes back, goes, that's fine. $10 is a fine price. So, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I buy it, and I bring it home. And on the bottom, this was during, you can't really, okay, there you go. This was during the whole Apple versus Samsung debacle, where Samsung was really trying to be like Apple. Notice the proprietary dock connector as opposed to the micro USB. So I'm looking, oh man, do I have the connector? Well, I have a spare cable and it works. I plug it in and nothing. Absolutely nothing happens. And then it shows a little picture of the battery with an X. And then I go, oh man, the battery's dead. I'm not gonna, it's already trash. The battery's dead. That's why they donated it. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just leave it overnight. I'll let it charge. I come back, I wake up the next day, and it's charging, and I open up flip open the cover, and it's at 100%. I'm like, okay, well let's see, and I turn it on, and it works. I opened up the cover, it was charging, flipped it on, and went to the home screen, and it's like it works and everything, and you're probably looking at the version of Android and going, that's not Android 4.0, and I'll get to that in a minute. So it boots up, everything's fine. I'm like, wow, this is a really good deal. So I look, and it turns out to be the 16 gigabyte. I didn't know at that point. It does have a memory card slot, but there was no memory card in it. Maybe the person took it out, maybe they didn't. You'll never know. I mean, we'll never know. So I start Googling what's the highest version of Android, and some people say that it's 4.1, and other people were saying that, oh, it's capped by the carrier. If it's the 3G one, it's not 3G. So it's just the Wi-Fi one. So I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be stuck on this old version of Android. Which isn't the worst thing ever. I had a crappy a poorly constructed Colby tablet that was stuck on Android 2.3. That was horrible. Android 4.0, I could live with. So I'm doing some Googling, and I find that the highest CyanogenMod, official CyanogenMod mod that's available is 5.0, which is higher than 4. So I look into that, and I'm like, no, I don't want 5.0. So I do a little bit more digging on the XDA developers forums, and I find a custom version for this tablet of Android 6.0.1, I think. And I, go through the whole thing. I get TWRP recovery going. I flash the ROM, and right now it is running Android. Go over to settings. Android 6.0.1. So Marshmallow. So I don't remember if you have to press or not. There we go. So yeah, it is. And then I died. The Flappy Bird clone. So I flashed that, and it has the newest version of Android. 7.0 is still kind of in production / early beta. It is released on some LG phones, but most products don't even have version 7.0. And I really like this tablet. For a $10 tablet, it is probably one of the best tablets that I could buy right now. For $10. I mean, try and find a $10 tablet that's not a pad of paper. I don't think you'd be able to find one like that out there. I mean, this is a rare case where it's, a right place in the right time. But for me, this tablet is great. The battery lasts upwards of 3 days if I'm not really pushing it. If I'm running it at like 90% screen brightness, and that's another thing I want to show you, screen brightness. If I'm running it at like 90% screen brightness, and that's pretty bright for a tablet. That's a pretty bright screen. So running it at about 90% brightness and watching YouTube videos and Amazon and stuff like that, I can get about 2.5 days out of it. But if I'm just puttering around doing Facebook, a little bit of YouTube, interneting, just general use, I can get about 3 days of battery life. This has a 7,000 milliamp battery, so that's a pretty big battery. We should probably do a port check. So here's our power connector. Focus. So here's the power connector. And around this side, there's really nothing. On this side is where the headphone jack is, but if you open it, let's see if I can get this. Over here is where our IR blaster is, which the person never took off the little cellophane plastic, which I'm going to do now. And there's the memory card slot. I have a 128 gigabyte memory card. And here's the sleep-wake button. And here's the volume button. On the other side, oh, and here's the camera. It's a 5 megapixel camera. It doesn't take the best pictures, but for a tablet it's okay. And around this side, there's really nothing. And again, back to where the charging port is. But on this corner is where the S Pen, or the S Pen, lives. Unfortunately, with CyanogenMod ROMs, the S Pen functionality doesn't work. It works as a stylus, but that's about it. One last thing. Talking about storage. With Android 6.0, you have something called adaptive storage, where it can basically adopt a memory card and have it become the internal memory, meaning you can put system apps and stuff like that on it and use it as internal storage. So since I put a 128 gigabyte memory card in it, I now have 131 gigabytes usable of internal. The SD card is listed there as the SanDisk. Internal memory was a base of 16, but the ROM takes up a little bit of space, so I have about 11 gigabytes usable. But combined total, I have 131 gigabytes usable. As for the system, it runs... let me check. As for system, it runs a Samsung Exynos 4412 CPU, clocked in at 1.4 gigahertz, and the system is 6.0.1 Marshmallow, and so far it has been on for 1 day, 12 hours, 28 minutes, and 27 seconds for battery. And the battery is... that doesn't make sense, because the specs I was looking at showed that it was a 7,000 milliamp hour battery, but this is a 1,500 milliamp. So maybe it's noticing reporting it wrong. So this has been Zesty Panda with another video. If you liked this, thumbs it up. If you didn't, thumbs it down. One quick thing I wanted to add to the end, because my camera battery was dying, is that it has 2 gigabytes of RAM. The CPU is the, there it is. It's the Exynos 4412. The screen resolution is about 1280 by 800, which isn't the best, but I mean, for general use, it's perfectly fine. It's higher than, I think, an iPad 2 or something like that. And the system RAM is about 2 gigabytes usable. So, as I was saying before, if you like this, thumbs it up, please. If you didn't, thumbs it down. Drop a comment down below if you have any thoughts on this. And stay tuned for more content. And have an awesome day.